What's going on, everybody? So I wanted to get through a lot of the stuff I've watched recently when it comes to series and movies, but actually this video is just going to be all the movies I've watched to update you. I'm going to do a separate video on the two major series that I finished and one I'm about to finish. The first one that I did finish was Godzilla or Monarch Legacy of Monsters. That went on Apple TV, and then also another one on Apple TV that I started watching about halfway through is Severance, the first season. So I wanted to get those separately just because I think that could be like a 10-minute video by itself, and to save you the boredom and the longness of a video, I'd rather just do these things separately and some other, movie-related news I want to update you on at the end. But to start this video off was one of the more better and impressive movies that I was able to watch pretty recently, and it's a movie that came out in '95, I believe, called Seven, with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. Synopsis is when a retiring police detective, William Somerstreet, who is Freeman, takes a final case with the aid of newly transferred David Mills, who is Pitt. They discover a number of elaborate and grisly murders. They soon realize they are dealing with a serial killer who is targeting people who he thinks represents one of the 7 deadly sins. And they also put in like another thing in that synopsis, and also the name of the actor who is playing the villain. I did not know that this person was, and I think even at the end of the movie they put his name in there because they did not put his name in the beginning of the movie, the title card and all that stuff. So I thought that was pretty neat, so you're not just looking for that person or kind of know, well, if that actor's name has, or that actor hasn't shown up after you saw his name in the beginning, then you kind of already know that that person is most likely going to be the murderer. So I won't spoil it for you either, even though it's been, I think it's what, like the 30-year anniversary, at least this year at some point, which I didn't even know at the time. I know my family just wanted to watch a thriller kind of horror-ish movie, so I kind of chose that one. And yeah, it turned out to be very great. I think it was David Lynch. Sorry, a quick edit. I kept mentioning David Lynch's name instead of David Fincher. Yes, sadly, we lost director David Lynch this week, so I guess that's why I kept mixing up his name, but wanted to correct that real quick. Who was obviously written or directed like Panic Room, The Social Network, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, a lot of great movies, and this was one of his better ones. And a crime thriller, I'm pretty sure a lot of other movies that preceded this kind of copied the same idea, because it's definitely one of the early entries in that type of genre, and it's one of the better ones in my opinion. And overall, I did enjoy it. I probably would watch it again, but it's kind of hard just because you kind of already know who the villain is and how the setup and all this stuff and how it relates to the other two main characters involved. Obviously, I'm not going to say much about it, but that overall was a great film. Definitely very suspenseful, and kind of kept you guessing till the end. I kind of was already spoiled by kind of like the main reveal towards the end about a certain character, just because of pop culture and all this stuff. A lot of times pop culture kind of just ruins stuff for you, but I didn't want to mention it to the people I was watching with, and they were kind of surprised too at the end result. But either way, very enjoyable, even though it's a very dark type of movie, obviously dealing with the deadly sins and all that stuff, but definitely very interesting. It kind of reminded me of another Lynch movie in Zodiac that he did a couple years after, or actually a decade or so after this, which I thought was really good too. So yeah, definitely give Seven a watch. Definitely was very happy I finally got to see one of the better, more talked about films out there in film history. Speak No Evil was one that came out in pretty early 2024, but just recently watched it right now on Peacock, where it's only streaming, and it's a pretty interesting movie. The plot of it basically is a family is invited to spend a whole weekend in a lonely home in the countryside, but as the weekend progresses, they realize that a dark side lies within the family who invited them. And yeah, that's basically what it is. It just kind of starts off with, a regular family, a mom and dad and a daughter, and they kind of have their own issues and stuff, but then they meet this family while on vacation, and that one family invites them over to their house at some point, and like a couple weeks later, and they end up visiting, and then they start realizing that I guess maybe the father is a little bit too controlling and a bit, aggressive, especially towards the child and stuff, and then they kind of talk and speak up about that, which is obviously a good thing to do, but then there's always something hidden and something behind, James McAvoy's character's eyes that you kind of don't realize what's really going on. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil it, but you could kind of pretty much tell that there's definitely some secrets with this family that has invited them to their house, which of course now you're on the enemy's territory. So now what are you going to do with not really knowing what is around and who is around too? So it's pretty good for what it is. It's not, when you watch the trailer, it kind of makes it feel like a more epic chase thriller, but kind of it doesn't really pick up to like midway and then towards the rest of the movie, excuse me. So yeah, it is a little bit of a slow burn. You kind of just get into the movie and stuff, and if you watch a trailer too, then you kind of get spoiled by a little bit of some stuff here and there. That's always the problem with trailers. Sometimes they kind of explain too much of the stuff or show too much of the good things, but either way, I would still recommend it in the end. And another one I saw during the holidays was Red One on Amazon Prime. I was pretty interested in it. It has The Rock, Chris Evans, so not a bad cast there. Lucy Liu, also J.K. Simmons, and it's pretty much about when a villain kidnaps Santa Claus from the North Pole, and ELF, an extremely large and affordable operative, joins the forces with the world's most accomplished tracker to find him and save Christmas. So basically, The Rock is, Dwayne Johnson is J.K. Simmons, who is playing Santa Claus, his bodyguard, pretty much, his main secret agent, basically to help him out through all these years, and then they end up losing Santa Claus because he gets kidnapped by somebody we don't know. I won't spoil it. And then they try to find the guy who's basically the best hacker and main tracker out there and stuff, who kind of causes his own mischief in the real world, I guess, even though the North Pole in this movie is considered real. But yeah, overall it was kind of enjoyable, kind of outlandish and weird here and there in some spots, and had some funny moments, some good action stuff, but and sometimes too it was kind of ridiculous and not in the fun or good way. So if you're wanting to watch something during the holidays, I would suggest it, but I don't think it's something that could be like on repeats on every single year during the holidays, or something you kind of watch throughout the year too. I don't think it's that good of a Christmas movie, but either way, I would still say check it out. And yes, this one, I believe this is director Robert Eggers, who did a couple of pretty different movies that are out there, but this one is called The Lighthouse, and I started it a couple months ago, maybe even a year ago, but finally got around to finishing it. It stars Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, but it's basically about two lighthouse keepers try to maintain their sanity while living on a remote and mysterious New England island in the 1890s. So, yeah, Willem Dafoe is kind of running this lighthouse, and then Pattinson comes to work for him, or at the lighthouse, and then he has some certain duties he has to always do. But this director is kind of hit and miss, because I believe I watched his movie The Witch, which is like one of Anya Taylor-Joy's first movie, and at that times, during certain points of that movie, at times it feels scary with The Witch, because it's supposed to be some type of horror movie, but really it's kind of like just a weird, mysterious thing, and there's really no like jump scares, or just more about like mood and feel and the situation people are in, and it's kind of just more weird than actually scary. And it's kind of like this one too. It's just a lot of weird scenarios and different scenes happening, and sometimes you don't know if it's like really happening or if it's just like some in part of his imagination, or if he's just going crazy being remote on this lighthouse area with just the two of them basically. And yeah, I think it's supposed to follow some type of weird mythical and like mythos type of thing. I forget the name, Poseidon or some type of Greek person that ended up, I don't want to say how they perished, but it kind of deals with that whole storyline maybe. But I guess it's just more about the insanity of what these two people are going through. I wouldn't recommend it if you're not willing to sit through a lot of the craziness that is happening, but if you're into that sort of stuff, then I guess so, go check it out. And yes, maybe this more unpopular opinion that I have on this movie that's pretty popular. Maybe that's why I saved it for the end, so it's hidden in case people don't want to give me too much crap. But finally able to watch the first Pitch Perfect movie. I was only interested in it because it has Adam Devine, who's from Workaholics fame and a couple other popular movies, so I kind of wanted to watch it more for him. And I know this is kind of Rebel Wilson's breakout role. She's supposed to be this comedic genius in there, even though I thought she was pretty funny in Bridesmaids, which happened a little bit before this movie. But in the end, it's an alright movie. I mean, at times, let me get to the synopsis. I read the synopsis for everything. So a college student, Becca, who's Anna Kendrick, knows she does not want to be part of the clique, but that's exactly where she finds herself after arriving at her new school. Thrust in among mean girls, nice gals, and just plain weird gals, Becca finds that the only thing they have in common is how well they sing together. She takes the women of the group out of their comfort zone of traditional arrangements and into a world of amazing harmonic combinations in a fight to the top of the collegiate musicians or whatever. So it's like basically a group of girls in a cappella group going to competition. They're at a college and stuff, and they kind of compete with the other male-only group in the school that is doing pretty good and wins a lot of the competitions also. And I just thought it was okay. Some funny parts in here, some parts like I felt like I've seen 100 times before, so it wasn't really that funny. And the two main characters that are supposed to be like love interests, they're kind of too like, I would say they're not too clumsy about it. They're like kind of too trying to find out the word. Hold on. A bit too arrogant or kind of know everything what's going on and everything's still kind of good. They're not, what's the word? They aren't as self-conscious. They're too confident, and it seems like, well, why are these two struggling to get together if they have so much confidence and stuff outside of talking to each other? I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I guess it's very popular. It spawned off 2 sequels. I don't think I'm gonna end up watching them unless I'm kind of forced to. But yeah, that's my hot take on the first Pitch Perfect. And to finish this video off, I want to talk about some of the movie stuff that I'm interested in instead of some of the movies that I already watched and talked about. So Christopher Nolan, obviously one of my favorite directors and producers right now. He is apparently going to direct his next movie. It's going to be The Odyssey, which is based off of like Homer or wherever that philosopher guy is. So it's a long story and it's going to cost a lot because apparently it's going to have a $250 million budget, which is considered one of the most expensive films ever. I think the more recent Fast and the Furious was like above that or almost close to 300 because of like reshoots and certain other things, but that's not the price that it started at. But this price is already pretty high, and it's most likely going to go a little bit higher because he likes to do a lot of stuff as real as possible. When you're dealing with like mythical and Greek gods and all that stuff, who knows how much real it's going to be? But it's definitely going to be a globe-trotting type of movie. So looking forward to that, and then especially the type of cast that's involved because obviously it's an adaptation of the Odyssey, but it's described as a mythic action epic that follows the tale of Odysseus, I believe I'm saying that correct, and his 10-year journey home after the Trojan War. It's already going to star Tom Holland, who's known as the Spider-Man now in Marvel, Zendaya, Anne Hathaway is returning to work with Nolan again, Matt Damon is returning, also Lupita Nyong'o, I believe that's her first time, and Robert Pattinson is returning also, so he's getting a couple of people that he likes to work with. He always does that in a bunch of his movies, and a lot of new people too, so I don't know, maybe Holland is going to be playing a younger Matt Damon's character. I don't know, I guess I can see it in the end. But yeah, it's going to be epic. Hopefully it's going to look awesome in IMAX because I'm pretty sure they're going to come out with some new technology for IMAX and they're going to film it. So it's going to look really awesome. So I will be there hopefully when it comes out in 2026, I believe. And speaking of what's coming out pretty soon is a show I'm really interested in and been pretty hot on the past year or so, and that's Reacher. It's going to be its 3rd season, and I believe it starts on February 20th and goes until March 27th, so it'll be an 8-episode season, and they will be coming out weekly, so that's a lot better than what they were doing before, which they just kind of drop the whole season. I hate when, series do that, because then, someone like does that, because someone like my girlfriend will like to binge watch and do all that stuff. I'm kind of used to the more older mode of TV release where you kind of saw a new episode weekly. So like I can get through maybe 2 or 3 episodes of something depending on how good it is. But a lot of times too, when it's these shorter series like Reacher, this episodes average like 40, almost 50 minutes and all that stuff. So yeah, I kind of can only handle so much, and then I kind of wait a couple days and then return another 2 episodes. So it kind of takes me a bit, but I don't know, I kind of prefer this weekly thing because Marvel does that and Star Wars does that on Disney Plus, so I guess everybody's trying to do that so people can stay on these streaming services a lot longer. So we'll see how that ends up turning out. And then, yeah, it was the 10th year anniversary of Interstellar that came out recently. I went to go see, and apparently it was one of the highest grossing IMAX's re-releases ever. So that's pretty awesome. I was glad to be a part of that with my family. 2 of those people had not seen Interstellar before, especially in theaters. So yeah, it's a great experience, and they love the movie. So yeah, definitely very happy I was able to go see it this time, because the first time I saw it was just regular theater, but this time I definitely had to do IMAX, and it was definitely worth every penny. And according to, I think it's Warner Brothers, they're apparently going to be working on a new Mummy movie, and it's going to be directed by the Evil Dead Rise director Lee Cronin, and it should be releasing April 17th, 2016. So yeah, it's pretty soon. So next year, pretty early next year, within about a little bit over a year turnaround. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I did not see Evil Dead Rise because it looked pretty scary. So maybe that's what they're trying to hope to do with this Mummy series, is make it a little bit more scary, which is nice, because even that Brendan Fraser one, even to me in the late '90s, when I was like 9 years old, it felt scary at the time watching it in theaters. But now it's obviously a bit more jokey when you look back at it. But if you could add a little bit more scares and thrill and all that stuff, like how that first one was, which I still think is a better Mummy movie, in my opinion, then I'm all for it. And then, I think to end off this video real quick, I think The Social Network was recently added to the National Film Registry, which are films that are added to the registry are seen to have cultural or historic importance and must be preserved for future generations. So I'm proud of that, because it's one of my favorite movies. And yeah, I definitely thought there's some snubs there, especially for Andrew Garfield for Best Supporting Actor. But I think that year it might have been Christian Bale for The Fighter, even though I think Christian Bale should have been for the main actor, because yeah, they put Mark Wahlberg ahead on like the billing, but it's really his performance that drives that whole entire movie, in my opinion. So I think they might have put him on the supporting actor so he can win, because I think Colin Firth won that year for The King's Speech, where that's another movie where I have to re-watch, because I only got through like maybe a third of it, maybe a quarter of it, and stopped watching. So I need to really do my research on that to see if, you know, Jesse Eisenberg should not have won for his portrayal of Mark Zuckerberg. But yeah, one of my favorite movies, and we'll definitely still be watching it till the end of time. So yeah, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day.